build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Thursday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Got all kinds of different topics that we can discuss. Quade Cummins, Korn Ferry Tour Finals. He's off to a good start. Kind of tell you a little bit about that at the end of the show if you want to. College football, we can always talk college football. What's on your mind, Jared? What college football topic is on your mind that you have fascination with right now? I'll tell you what's on my mind, and it doesn't have anything to do with college football. And this is where we can get our listeners to help us out for things that maybe I didn't remember or you can't remember as we talk about this. But coming up on Friday night, Carl Albert will come here to Big Elk Stadium, and this will be one of, if not the most talented teams to ever step foot on this field. With the guys that they already have, 2 guys already committed to play at Oklahoma, handful of others that are going to get Division I offers, if not Oklahoma offers. And so my question is this to the football historians out there in Western Oklahoma. Is this the most talented team that's ever come here, that's ever played on this field? I wrote down a few that I can remember in my time that might be in the running for such a title. But my time isn't nearly as far back as some others. And I know there's going to be some other ideas back there that I couldn't think of. So, who going into Friday night? If it's not going to be Carl Albert once they leave here, what are some of the better teams, the best teams that have ever played on this field at Big Elk Stadium? What in the world's going on? In what universe, Jared, would you move your family from a gated community in Norman, Oklahoma, out to L.A. and pretend like it's safer where you moved than when you left? Is it Lincoln Smollett, Jussie Riley, or it even reminds me not only just the nature of it, but you know who else does he remind me of?
Yeah.
Lincoln Durant?
Yep.
Kevin Riley?
Incredibly weak-minded and insecure.
Let's talk about this right off the top of the show. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, a couple of ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com, or you can download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. A brand new edition of the Penny News hit the website last night at midnight, but now you can go pick up a free copy of said Penny News at your favorite local newsstand as we speak. Notice what I said there, Jared. A free copy of the Penny News.
Now, when we were in Canadian last week, saw it up there.
Yeah, we saw it. Where did we see that
at? It was at the quick stop that we stopped in to get a refreshment before we took the drive home.
That's right. That's exactly where it was. I remember seeing it.
Hey, there it is. I mean, it's everywhere. Everywhere. It's pretty cool.
And if you don't believe us, I mean, it was literally everywhere. The Penny News is out there at your favorite local newsstand. Also, of course, Big Elk and Paragon TV. Got that there on the app as well this week. Triple header. Hollis at home for the first time against Mountain View TBOW. The Merritt Oilers travel to Minco. And, of course, the Big Elks right here at home against the Carl Albert Titans. So all that in that app. And then if you miss our show entirely, you can check out the Skinny on Sports podcast. It's literally available anywhere podcasts drop. How are you today, Jared?
I'm good. Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Good night again last night for your Rangers.
Came on the heels of bad news, but sure, yeah, 10-0 win. Going for a 4-game sweep tonight over a team they're racing in the they're in a race with in the wild card circuit, I guess. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
You know, I've noticed that the Rangers have started to play better when they don't use their bullpen.
Yeah, when their bats are working.
When they win like 10-0 and 10-3.
Right. When the bats are working, it's in that maybe that, like I said yesterday, they've gotten out of this slump right now based on, was that thunder?
That's what I was just wondering.
Wow. Based on win streaks, they are, I guess you could say, the hottest team in baseball right now. Was that 5 in a row for them?
I think that's right.
Longest win streak in baseball. So maybe they have come out of that horrible slump at the most inopportune time, and now they're turning that corner. But I'm kind of subdued because of the news of Scherzer is likely done for the year.
Yeah, I think we all knew that yesterday.
Yeah.
A little bit like the A-Rod stuff. You knew it. It just wasn't official.
Yeah.
But no surgery. That's a good sign with another year left on that contract.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think he'll be ready to go come springtime.
I mean, as much fun as it probably is right now, just you can think about what's coming in a year from now. If you can, I mean, I guess at some point, can we just stop saying if DeGrom can stay healthy and just not even worry about him unless he shows up?
Right.
Is that fair? You know, but with Scherzer, Montgomery, and then the young guys, Carter, I think he's given a jolt. You could probably even maybe credit him for some of this, you know, the contagiousness of hitting. When Evan Carter has come up, and then they've got Langford. Yep. Watch out for him. Wyatt Langford is ripping apart the minor leagues. So it's a fun time, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay. After we got off the air yesterday, kind of mid-afternoon, all of a sudden I looked up and I had all these tweets just back to back to back. I thought, what in the world is going on? For all this to just kind of shoot off the way it has. And, yeah, this was pretty interesting comments from TBOW.
Your house.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah, I had multiple. They had a lot of different people trying to break into the house the days after it happened. And 95% of the fans and people out there at Oklahoma or anybody else are great. But you typically always have that percentage that at times take it too far. Obviously, this was one of those instances.
I heard you got packages and then they got your 9-year-old's number. What was the scariest part for you?
Yeah, just my family's safety. I didn't care about the house. I didn't care about anything else, just their safety. And we thought we were because we wanted the girls to be able to finish out school, because the semester was almost over. And as that stuff transpired, we said, no, we got to get them the hell out of here as fast as we can.
That was Lincoln Riley speaking back to his time right after announcing that he would be heading out west to coach USC. What was your initial reaction when you heard this?
Well, I kind of hinted at it just being, it feels like an insecure comment made, and maybe a little overreaction. When I saw the headline, I thought, here we go, cornering a fan base, making them look like the enemy, when in all reality, and he did say it, that every fan base has bad apples, right? And I was relieved to hear him say, yeah, 90% of fans are good. You know, unfortunately, there is the 10% that aren't good. OU has them. Everybody has them. That is part of it. But another part of it was I was thinking, okay, you're saying all this, Lincoln, and we're about to hear more. I mean, you better be careful because there could be other people that have receipts on this go, well, that's not true, and here's the proof.
Oh, you're already starting to see that as far as the people that are in law enforcement that, if am I going to sit here and say that there weren't idiots that did, something stupid to some degree of what he's trying to say? Absolutely. And I'm going to sit here and say, because I believe that probably happened.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Some
Again.
Would it shock anybody if some internet sleuth was able to get his daughter's phone number, as sick as that is?
There are sick people
that can
out there.
definitely happen.
Yes.
But man, did this not just, as soon as I heard it, I just almost started laughing. Like, all right, come on. You got a bye week. And Brandon texted it to me. My first thought was, he's trying to flip recruiting momentum because they've missed out on a couple of guys lately that they probably should get. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how calculating and snake oil salesman like that he is. And it's just, it's incredible to, one of the things that caught my ear when I heard it, when I actually listened to it, was it kept on saying out there. Like Oklahoma, like Norman, Oklahoma is so much different than the panhandle of Texas where you grew up. Like it's like he is distancing himself from who he was to now who he wants to be and who he is. More in the limelight of Southern California and USC and LA and Hollywood and all that. Like, he kept on saying there. Like it's some kind of big difference between where he was from.
Well, he's embracing the West Coast mentality, like, of their fan base, and you see him on Twitter. Of that's their defense of anything that's thrown in their face that is true. They go, oh well, he left because there's nothing to do out there. You guys live in no man's land. There's nothing in Oklahoma, and it's quite offensive. He's pretty much embraced that culture of that thinking with their trash fans. But he's insecure. We mentioned that too, and that's another thing that came to mind. I'm glad you said it first. Was this is like mirroring when Durant left. He did the sit down interviews, played the "woe is me" card.
Well, and just keeps on bringing it up. It's a year ago.
Let it go. Let it go.
You've been there for coming on 2 years now. No one, and of course, as soon as this is brought up and people around here talk about it or try to defend who they are, it's like, oh my gosh, the Oklahoma fans just won't let it go. No. Oh, you didn't say a damn word about Lincoln. No, that wasn't a conversation. Lincoln Riley's not a conversation on a daily basis here, but he was yesterday because of what he said. It had nothing to do with the people here, just as it always does with Kevin Durant. Nobody anymore cares what Kevin Durant is doing until he pops on some podcast and does this exact same thing to Thunder fans. And, by the way, Oklahomans. Nobody cares about those two anymore. As far as a daily thinking about and caring about what they're doing, nobody's worried about what Lincoln Riley's doing. It's a lot more about what Brent Venables is or isn't doing than what. But there is such an insecurity, and here's the thing, I think deep down, another reason why this always happens with those two is because deep down they know they didn't do it the right way. They know they didn't do it the right way, and they have this such yearning for everybody on earth to love them, and they know in their heart of hearts that there are going to be people here that are never going to because they did it the wrong way.
There was so much rumors and speculation of that day, of that conversation that he had with the team, letting them know that he took this job on that Sunday after Bedlam. And I wonder, I think some of that was touched on in this interview.
Yeah,
you talk about players, and
the two major points that I saw was one, that one, and two, he begged everybody to stay. And there's still a bunch of guys that he got to stay at Oklahoma that are still here. Who are they? Start naming names.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. They're pretty soon players are going to talk. Maybe not while they're at the university, but maybe when they're gone, and go, oh yeah, when you want to talk about Lincoln Riley, I got some stuff on this of that day that happened. So,
well,
all I'm saying is he needs to be careful what he's putting out there, because there are going to be other people that, there's always a different side of the story, and
he doesn't care though.
But he doesn't.
He doesn't need to be careful because he doesn't care.
How soon before we find out he has a burner account on Twitter?
That's what we just got on the text line.
Oh, did
Scott said, "You think he has multiple accounts like Durant does?" Well, as soon as you start seeing the ones going, "Yeah, Lincoln, I can't believe those fans were such idiots that they would do that to your house," you know good and well it's him or somebody in his family. It's just, I just don't understand. I guess the mentality. And why anybody would feel the need to do this. And I guess it's just because I guess it just goes down to your personal. I mean, listen, here we are, and you make decisions, and you have to live with them. And some people can do that and not worry about what anybody cares or what anybody thinks about that decision. Others can't. I mean, it'd be hilarious. Think about with the Durant comparison to this, and the way those decisions were made, and now the way that they're trying to be defended by both of those guys. It got me thinking, like, can you imagine if like Charles Barkley acted like this? I thought of the NBA guys like from the era past. Mm-hmm. Chuck or MJ or Magic or those. I get it. Social media wasn't a thing back then, but do you really think? Well, first off, they didn't do this. But even if they would have, let's say they would have joined teams, do you think that they would? Do you think that they would have this? I don't know, this desire for everybody to be okay with it, or do you think that they would just make their decision and go, you know what, F you, I did what I did.
It's the latter. It's a tougher, but back then, and this goes into a study of psychology. Back then, there wasn't the access of social media, where he's sitting down when he gets home from the day and looking on his phone, and this is the same thing that happened to Kevin Durant, in probably searching his name on Twitter, searching his name on any social media,
so what are they saying
seeing
about
what
me?
comes up. What are they saying about me? And he's seeing more and more stuff, more negative. You're like, well, I'm so insecure. I remember that time that black SUV rolled by my house a couple times. Well, they're probably looking for their smoker back. Lincoln.
Yeah, Travis Davidson. He's on Twitter. He was like, I saw him. I hope that he's talking about me. Driving around trying to get.
But the gated, it's a gated. Jim was on this yesterday. The gated community. You can't just access. You think anybody can just roll up to that house of Lincoln Riley's without? People know who's in your neighborhood. You have, right? You have to sign. I mean, I've been to gated communities, but
here's
heavily
the deal.
guarded ones.
It doesn't even have to be a gated community. It could just be a nice neighborhood. The chances of being able to break into a nice neighborhood and getting away with it versus maybe not as nice a neighborhood and getting away with it, it's astronomical difference. Because the nicer the house you're trying to steal from, the way better chance they have more cameras, and you're going to get caught.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is right now. All that stuff is just so hilarious to me that he would bring that up.
It's silly,
and it goes back to like
But it's like
MJ. And,
this seems like a interview.
Kevin Durant. I mean,
yeah, it seems like an interview that would come out in the dead of summer or spring, even,
or after they lost to Stanford or something, and he's trying to rehab.
Yeah, but right here in the middle of we're 2 weeks in the season. 3 weeks if you count.
They're 3-0. They've just crushed everybody.
And yeah, don't you have a season to worry about? Don't you have a team? Aren't you the Pac-12 favorites? Aren't you trying to get them to a playoff? You have the reigning Heisman quarterback on your team. No, let's talk about when you left Oklahoma a year and a half ago. Are you kidding me?
Is this? I mentioned recruiting because they haven't been very good recruiting lately with some decisions or what have you.
They've had some defectors.
But let me ask you this. That just popped in my head when I looked on ESPN.com. Are his little feelings getting hurt because USC isn't the story in the Pac-12. Coach Prime in Colorado are.
There could be an ego thing involved, absolutely.
Hey, look at me over here.
Yeah.
Those sorry suckers from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Everybody feels sorry for me.
Yeah. That is true. He's not the it coach anymore in this conference.
He's not.
He was that his
Not right now.
entire time in the Big 12, more or less, right? He was the young, hip, cool it coach. All the transfer portal guys come to OU. Then he bolts for USC, and it started like that. Got Caleb Williams come with him, got some guys, got some recruits, and now, Dion is in where? Everybody's talking about that guy in Boulder, not in California. But look, I'm 3-0. Look at me.
I left those dastardly humans in Oklahoma behind. It's just hilarious.
So
It's
funny.
It's like a little soap opera with him.
Shut up, Muleshoe. Give me a break.
Muleshoe.
Muleshoe.
Maybe if you remembered where you came from at Muleshoe, you wouldn't do stupid stuff like this.
Grinch said something. Well, if he's interested in Southern Cal,
Yeah.
no.
That's
Grinch said that to you?
yeah. I
Oh,
still have
boy.
his text message if you want to read it.
Are you serious?
I
If
ain't
he's
lying.
interested in Southern Cal? That's I would have told him, bro, that's the wrong family to send that to.
I was like, you've met
Yeah.
Ethan, right? He would not fit.
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports 98.1 FM, the sports animal. That's what the sound Jared was referencing. That's Ethan's parents. I think Nate.
The family, yeah.
Nate is the dad. I'm not sorry, don't know his mom's name. But anyways, there was Sam Mays talking about the time after Grinch went with Lincoln Riley out to Southern Cal, and it just disputes everything he says about, I told every kid. You know what? I guess he's not lying. He told every kid in that meeting on that Sunday afternoon once he accepted that job.
Yeah, but then when he told the coach,
that's how it's
Yeah.
semantics, right? It's like a politician.
Exactly.
I didn't lie. I sat there in front of those kids and told every one of them to stay.
I didn't misappropriate funds, but maybe my staffer did.
Meanwhile, the phones in the meeting going ding, ding, ding with Grinch and Roy Manning out on the trail, the recruiting trail. And anyhow, I mean, it is what it is. It's he's a snake, and everybody here knows it. And the best thing for him would be just to shut up and move on.
Yes.
You're not here anymore.
Yes,
no matter how bad you want to no matter how bad you want to be here, you're not anymore.
It's like I always go to the human element in, like, imagine being broken up with. Okay, you were the person that got broken up with. Yeah, it hurt. It sucks. She moved on, but then she continues to talk about you.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, what's going on here? Wait a minute, you broke up with me. This isn't how this works.
Right.
It's insecurity. It's what it is. Weak-minded and insecure. And that's why he gets beaten in football games and big games.
You know, there's the obvious jokes to make, and I saw this one made on Twitter. Oh, that's what happened to his defense. He left it in that house in Norman. His security defense.
Oh, boy.
Oh, there's going to be some good ones. God, what was the one I saw? Oh, jeez. It was about Aaron Rodgers. A meme that I got sent.
I think there is something to that. He is so weak-minded that does it transfer over to the football field, to the games, when he's in pressure situations or what? I don't. Is he too proudful? I don't know. You see some coach like they don't care. They don't care what people think about him, like you said, like in context like Barkley. But there's the coaches who take other jobs and they don't care what people say. They move on. It was actually kind of like that is like Urban Meyer. I know he was kind of brought up as, he's a liar, but when he is left Florida, it's like he didn't care. He just left Florida and wound up at Ohio State. And he never talked about Florida.
Still doesn't.
Not like that. I
Still
mean,
doesn't. They had a big old long documentary,
exactly.
four-parter. And
Exactly.
didn't really talk about it. Oh, here it is. So the meme I got yesterday after the Rodgers news. It says Rodgers entering MetLife Stadium, and it's a picture of Apollo Creed in Rocky IV entering the ring, and then Rodgers after the first drive. It's a picture of Apollo Creed laying dead.
Oh my goodness!
After the Russian killed him.
Ouch. That's a little harsh.
It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. He's coming back. You see that? Tweeted it last night.
Hey, power to him.
He's not going to be done. All right, let's move on from Lincoln Riley.
Please.
To high school football. Yeah, before we cuss on the air. Afraid you're getting closer.
No, I'm good.
So, Carl Albert coming out tomorrow night here to Big Elk Stadium. I mean, it's one of the most talented teams in Oklahoma. There's no doubt about that. All you got to do is look at the offer list of a bunch of these kids, and the quarterback is already headed to Oklahoma, or committed to Oklahoma. The running back Xavier Robinson already committed to Oklahoma, and there's 3 or 4 other guys that hold OU offers. And it just got me to thinking, okay, who have been the best teams to play on the field at Big Elk Stadium, and where does this one rank? Is this one the top? And so there's obviously a sweet spot for me in the timeline of life that I can remember pretty vividly, certain teams, and then there's spots that I can't fill in, either A, because I wasn't really paying any attention, or B, because I wasn't alive or too young to remember, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I don't think there's any doubt. And maybe saying best with this team, it may be most talented, because I'm viewing it through a lens of guys that have been offered from college, right? I mean, it's not like these guys aren't winning titles. They won last year. Clearly the favorite to win again this year in 5A. But I've been thinking about that ever since really these offers started flowing and knowing that they were going to be on this field. And so that's been on my mind since the summertime, basically, knowing this game was coming, knowing it was going to be here. Who are the teams that could be in this conversation with this Carl Albert team coming up tomorrow night? Here are the ones that I can remember, right? And I'm not sure which year they were here. And heck, I can't even 100% remember if they were here, but you'd think they would have to be. Either 91 or 92 Weatherford. Coach Roof was over there back-to-back, beat Clinton the first year, Oologah the second year for the state champion, or maybe that's flipped. Oologah first, Clinton second. 28-1 over those 2 years. Anthony Randall, I remember Coach Roof showing the guys when I was in high school video of him and how dominant he was for the Eagles back then.
It was 92.
It's 92 when they were here.
That was the team that beat Clinton for the title.
Yeah, so they won 91 in 3A, I think, against Oologah. Then bumped up.
Right, because 91 was Ada in 4A.
Yeah, so there you go. But those two, what I'm saying is I'm not sure which year they were here.
Right.
And quite frankly, they might, if it was non-district one year and district the next year, maybe they weren't. It's a possibility, but that would be one that I would put up there. Another team, and I'm sure this town has plenty. I've got another one here, but 1996 Clinton, the first of the back-to-back state titles, at least in that run. Jason Crawford, Trent Smith, Tim Duncan, those dudes. Like if you could make a game, and it's impossible to do this because everybody's different ages, but if you could make like the 96 Clinton play the 98 Big Elks when they're you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the 98 Elks were playing, but they were sophomores.
Sure.
And if you could have figured out a way to make that game, I think that would have been an incredible game.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the better teams. And then I just mentioned it. The team that played there more than anybody was that Elk City team.
98, yeah.
In 1998. State champions. It's the only state championship in school history. They were dominant throughout the season. So, another one that I thought of later, 1994 Woodward. I'm not sure if they came here or not. Chad Meade, state title, beat Broken Bow in overtime or so. I'm sure there's an Anadarko team or two in that run that people might remember. Mm-hmm. And then on the text line, I got 1982 Clinton. 1982. Voted by the Oklahoman as the best team in Oklahoma.
Well,
back then.
That was a Dave Meadows team.
That's right.
80s.
Yeah, 1982. And then also Bishop McGinnis, 2007. 14-0 shut 9. Look at this. Fish did the legwork on this deal. 14-0, 9 shutouts, multiple D1 players.
What team was that? I'm sorry.
2007 McGinnis.
It was a good team.
I'm sure you can make a case for one of the Heritage Hall team that was out here
when they
were in the district, you could probably go there. And then I know there's further back teams that you can make the case for.
I mean, you can go way back. Yeah, there's a lot of candidates there. And this one tomorrow night has a case of being one of the best. But we can't say that until we see how this season plays out for both teams, really.
That's why I say talented.
Right.
Because
regardless of outcome.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do.
The talent, and I guess you almost have to qualify talent with Division I recruitable athlete talent, right? I mean, with what these guys, or at least it looks like these guys are going to be able to do or have the opportunity to do moving forward. And what's crazy to me is the guys that are the high end OU offer type guys outside of Xavier Robinson, they're all juniors.
Right. See, that's where I was about to throw in, and you know me, I'm a Clinton grad,
Homer.
so a Clinton grad, so I'm more inclined to know the history there. But that 99 Clinton team that was upset by a talented Fort Gibson team led by Teddy Lehman, that team had guys that went on that 2000 team to become one of the, you mentioned the 82 team, which has a argument of being one of the best ever of Clinton teams, but also 2000 because they had our man Rodney Skinner and Brandon Barker. They had, the list goes on, and that team was so dominant. But Elk went to Clinton in 2000, but all those players are mentioned were on that 99 team. That's why I say let's see how the rest of the season rolls out. But if we're going to go on talent alone, and that was a very talented team, but we've got a lot of candidates there. I mean, all those names you mentioned from Weatherford, of course, Clinton, and the Heritage Hall teams, who knows how many of those talented guys have come through there and have gone on to play at the next level. But, that's something I failed to realize about Carl Albert. There are a lot of juniors on this team.
Robinson's a senior, and basically the big guys are seniors. The offensive line, defensive line, most of those guys are seniors. But the skill guys, the secondary guys, Haynes, Washington, Marcus James, Sperry, those guys are all juniors. Every one of them. They've also got a guy named Maddox Wilkerson. You know who that is?
No.
Jimmy's
Wilkerson?
son.
Okay.
Jimmy Wilkerson's son. He was at he was a fresh. I saw him with my own eyes at Sayre a couple years ago. He was at Oklahoma Christian Academy. Jimmy was coaching. I think Jimmy Wilkerson, he moved to Carl Albert. The older son graduated. This is the younger. He's a junior, tight end, number 45. Also another name that was really interesting to me. Not necessarily, not just because of him, but also maybe his brother is Carlavion Young. We had that name last year in the playoffs for Newcastle.
Oh, really?
And his brother, Carlshon Young, was the unbelievable basketball player, the lefty. Is he at Carl Albert now?
I don't know. I mean, this is all well and good, but is this open transfer kind of?
It makes it hard to know. I mean, if
right, but
we're out here, and if something happens,
we know.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like earth shattering. But when you're up there in the city area, it's not as It's more normal, I guess I should say. But when I saw that name on that roster, I thought, wait a minute. That's Carlshon's brother. Is he playing basketball? Or did he go somewhere? I tried to figure this out, and I couldn't find it. Now, this is a question that I don't know the answer to, that I just got on my phone, a text. Has anyone that played football at Oak City High School ever played professionally?
Man, that's a question for you.
Hopefully, Mr. Weatherly's still listening. It's a question that he would know.
I'm sure there
to
had to have been a couple, if not more.
I honestly, the first name that leaps to my mind is Chris Stanley.
Oh, I didn't think of that, Joe. It's a good one.
Oh yeah, I had Roy Bell in my mind with some of those Clinton teams. I just don't know them.
Which ones came and which ones were here
right.
at Big Oak Stadium, which ones weren't. Yeah, that's a good one.
I would wonder Chris Stanley. Wait, is that the right name? Yeah.
Ronnie Bill from the text line.
Ronnie Bull.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know who that is. I don't remember. There's been guys that have gone to and played Division I football, but I just don't know that how much or how little that anybody got the chance to do that. Obviously with Clinton, they've had a few. Weatherford's had a few here and there. Mm-hmm. That is just with the guys that are coming out here and the talent that will be here. Yeah, I wondered here. Billy Lynn might have played in Canada. He's a name from the past that anybody that grew up here definitely knows. Marsh, he didn't. He played in college, but he didn't do anything like that.
It's a good question.
Gary Cutzinger. Oh, here's this. I don't know where he found this, but it shows 3. Gary Cutzinger, Lee Presley, and Hal Springer.
I wish I had years on that.
It does.
Oh, it does.
Would you like to know?
Yes.
Gary Cutzinger, defensive end, Houston, 1962 to 1968. Lee Presley, fullback / center for Washington, 1945. And Hal Springer, an E, which I assume is end, 1945. There you have it. At least according to that source. Looks like Pro Football Reference to me with some of the stuff I've done on there. I had no idea you could do that. Yeah, Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a database somewhere, and you could put in a town name and see who's come from there.
That's literally what he did.
That's what it is?
Yeah, on Pro Football Reference.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and Google that up. Sounds like a time waster right there.
No way. Is there anybody that you think we've left off this? I mean, I know we have.
Team-wise?
Yes. But like a specific one that you can remember.
I'm trying to think. No, I think you've named them all.
There's one that didn't come here that would definitely be a possibility. But it wasn't here. It was there. In 98, the first game of the year was at Millwood. And that Millwood team had Rashawn Woods and Elbert Craig, who were seniors that went to play at Oklahoma State. Elbert was the safety. And obviously, Rashawn Woods is one of, if not the best receiver ever to play there. And I guess it would have been Donovan throwing to him. And I can't remember if all 3 of them were there. I think Donovan might have been a freshman. DeJuan was a sophomore, and was Rashawn? Rashawn was a senior, I know for sure. So that was pretty wild. I mean, that was a talented team. Mm-hmm. But that was at Mill. It wasn't here, and that was a non-district game that I think was just a one-off, if I remember right, because that wasn't a game our junior year here in the non-district. And the next thing, it was our senior year. But that, you want to talk about talent? Woof. There's a bunch of it running around the field that day at Millwood.
This is pretty cool, this Pro Reference.
Yeah, we just got it sent to us again with those 3 names from Oak City.
That is cool.
But that's one I was trying to think of non-district games. in the past, and teams like this is. And that was one that Millwood game was one that I thought of, but it doesn't necessarily count to the question I ask because it was up there and not right here. But that team is going to be on the field on Friday night. It's got a whole bunch of talent on it. There's no doubt about that. And we'll see what the Elks can do to try to negate the playmakers that they have. What do you got?
Weatherford has produced 2 NFL players. Can you name them?
Wes Sims.
Correct.
Who's it?
Todd Franz.
Tulsa. He went to Tulsa, I think, didn't he?
I think that's right. Clinton has produced, and you won't name them. You won't name maybe a couple. 7.
Trent. Did Timmy play?
Tim did. Kicked at Arizona.
Brandon Christensen?
Yes.
Roy? Is Roy on there? He only went to Canada,
He went
didn't
to
he?
Canada, but Carlos was a tight end for New Orleans. He had Gary Bolden, a defensive tackle, Cliff Chapman. By the way, Bolden from 1987, Cliff Chapman in 1982, Sonny Lyles back in the 40s. Played for Detroit and the Rams from 43 to 45. That's a fun thing to look up.
Here's Raymond Lucian Malouf. 1941 draft. You know who he played for?
No.
In high school?
No.
Sayre.
Oh, cool.
And then there's a statue. I don't know if you've seen it yet in Hammond when you've driven through. It's not for the NFL, but it is for the football team at Hammond. Joe Wynn's got a statue.
There's a statue?
There's a statue of Joe.
Where is this statue at?
In his mind. I've driven all around town and just cannot find that dadgum thing for years. He was the best football player ever to come out of Hammond.
Well, I see the big billboard talking about their basketball and baseball teams.
Academic
teams, but
you'd think a statue would be right propped up next to the basketball titles, wouldn't you?
Or maybe in front of the high school or the gym or something.
Maybe it's in front of the old gym.
Maybe. Well, that's right there in the same parking
It's close.
lot.
Maybe it's behind the old gym. We never went behind it.
Where is it, Joe?
He says it's somewhere in Hammond. He won't tell exactly where. If he'd go find it and he could drop a pin, we could all go look at it.
Get with our man Ed. Say, where's this statue at, Ed?
It's in storage. Ouch. Buddy Joe.
There's a lot of people just
taking
coming
it
after
on
Joe.
Taking it on the text line.
What did he do to them?
About to say, he did say the tornado got the statue. That's why we can't find it.
Okay.
It's in storage. Here's another one. Joe Wynn doesn't have an athletic bone in his body. There isn't a statue.
Yikes. Poor Joe.
Sorry about that, Joe. Didn't know that the texters are going to come after you quite that hard.
Trying to take Joe down a peg. I don't get it. What did he do?
There is no doubt that Joe Wynn is the best putter from like 40 yards out on planet Earth. Zero doubt. Nobody can dispute that. It doesn't matter if he needs to bang it off the cart path to jump it over some rough to get it on the green and roll. It matters none.
He can do it.
He absolutely can do it.
Well, he's the guy you want on your team. Everyone thinks you need a long, like a smash hitter or driver, right? You get a good putter. That could save you a couple strokes. Right
I didn't
there.
say he is a good putter. I said he's the best from off the green.
Oh, from off the green.
Yeah,
even
like
better.
40 yards.
Yeah. So that's the strategy. Guys, don't chip it on the green. Get it on the fringe.
Oh, he makes fun of you for chipping, especially if you hit a bad one. See, you should have putted it. And nobody else can do that, Joe. You're the only one.
Like, Joe, go find your statue. Shut up.
Yeah. Maybe in Foss Lake. It may got blown into Foss Lake with the tornado. College football coming up this weekend. Anything catching your eye?
Kind of a dud weekend in reality.
I tell you what, it feels like the build-up weekend because have you taken a gander at next week's schedule?
No.
Holy Moses. It is wall-to-wall fantasticness.
Well, on this weekend, if I'm looking for anything, obviously OU at Tulsa, week. You have a little bit more life in their offense. The OSU game.
I'm interested.
What is that spread, like 7?
7.5. Yeah. I'm interested.
I mentioned this before the season started. Watch for the was it South
Alabama?
South Alabama.
They
Watch
won
for these
10
guys.
games a year ago. Lost to UCLA by a point. Lost to Troy by like 4. 10-3. Then they got blown out in the bowl game. All right. So look, this week, yeah, it is. It's kind of duddish. Next week, you have UCLA at Utah, Oregon State at Washington State, Florida State at Clemson, Ole Miss at Bama, Colorado at Oregon, Ohio State at Notre Dame, Iowa at Penn State, Texas at Baylor. Next week is the first real good week. Archie at LSU, maybe. Also, one of those maybe type games. A&M hosts Auburn is kind of a maybe.
Back to this week. Some questions. Will Texas have a hangover? Wyoming's coming in confident. I know they're 2-0, but they go, hey, we beat one Texas team. Let's beat another. Tennessee at Florida. Could that be a trap game for Tennessee? Haven't been entirely impressed with Tennessee as of yet. Same thing about Washington at Michigan State. A lot of distraction at East Lansing, but still at Michigan State. And then you mentioned one. Oh, is it BYU at Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one too. And then I mentioned OSU.
See, for me this week,
just stuff I'm keeping my eye on.
This week boils down almost the 11 o'clock games for me. K-State at Mizzou. That's a big game, and the possibility of the flipping of Williams-Winery. If you're a Sooner fan, you need Emau to win. Kansas State.
I don't even think that matters. I think that
just trust me.
Win or lose, they're going to be losing more than winning.
But
Missouri, that is. But that would help.
You don't want a top 15 win.
Sure. I see what you're saying.
LSU at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has played them really, really tough the last 4 trips down to Stark Vegas. One of those a win. It's been like 1-score games when LSU has gone to Mississippi State. So those are, does South Carolina have any? Can Spencer Rattler pull some sort of rabbit out of his hat to try to give Georgia a run?
Hard to see it happening.
Can you believe Alabama's playing at South Florida?
I guess I missed that. On the picks, I didn't even notice that. It's
Alabama. I'm just looking at the list. I don't know if that's a pick.
At South Florida?
At South Florida. And no, it is at South Florida. Raymond James. Now, they play at Raymond James Stadium, which is the home of the Buccaneers as well. But that's actually a true road game.
Oh, well, good for them.
At a, what do you call that? Group of 5? It all gets messed up in my mind with
have
what we call
they
stuff
not
now.
joined a conference yet?
Not yet.
I can't remember.
Not yet.
Well, cool.
Alabama's an interesting case. Was that just kind of a hiccup and they're going to bounce right back, or do they really do have some problems?
I wondered about that with Clemson last week because it looked like they were having a tough time getting started. Who they play, like Charleston
Southern or something like that. Yeah.
And it was a 1-score game, and then I walk away from it, and then I checked again, and they had won like 66-14 or something like that. I mean, they really put it on. So I wonder if Alabama will have like a slow start like that, and then just you look up and boom, they're up 4 touchdowns.
Hey, you already said Texas. They host Wyoming. It's interesting. Maybe. Part of me thinks that Texas is just going to blow their doors off. But old Texas,
they do this.
Texas isn't back Texas, sleepwalks through this game. I'm not going to say they lose it, but they sleepwalk through it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe as much as last week was, and it was impressive, maybe coming out and beating down Wyoming like maybe you should. I don't know. Wyoming has that win over Tech. But you know what I mean? Being impressive again would show a maturity that I don't think we've seen from a Texas team in a long time. And then up in Stillwater, man, that is a fascinating game.
Yeah, it is.
To see how Gundy play. I mean, like, okay, Gunner should start, right? He's the only one that hadn't got to yet.
Right.
So is it his turn to start?
I think he's been one of the better of the three. A lot have said that. I tend to agree with that, and I'm not. It's not because of who his dad is.
And we didn't even mention Tennessee at Florida. How crazy is that? It would have been
usually a big game.
The marquee
that's
game
usually
of the weekend.
game day location this time of year.
Not anymore.
Nope.
It is Boulder. You think they'll build a studio in Boulder?
That's what I said. I think we'll have like a satellite studio. No, Fox will be there. Somebody will be there for.
Yeah, but Fox will have those games. So what I'm saying is Fox just going to build a permanent studio there?
Maybe. I'm surprised they haven't hired a reporter and said, okay.
Pat McAfee's going.
Yeah.
What show isn't? This one.
Yeah. Yeah, why aren't we there?
I bet Boulder in September is pretty nice. Colorado State coming to town.
It's not a horrible drive. It's long, but it's not hard to get there.
It's further away than Blanchard, which is where I'm supposed to go. We probably change those plans if we want to go to Colorado.
I'm a little busy Saturday.
Jared, if somebody pays for us to go to Colorado, you're going. All right. We'll get more in depth with the games, in-state games tomorrow. Be a Garrison Financial Friday. Hopefully Scott will be in the house. McAfee is going for the edibles. Text line was good today. Yeah. Lots of information. Everyone have a great Thursday. We'll be back to wrap up the week tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball